Many organizations are uncertain when it comes to handling protected health information where they fall. Are they a business associate? Are they a covered entity? Are they neither? In this video, we're going to talk through the differences between covered entity and business associate and things to consider when it comes to your exposure in handling that data. Hi, I'm Ryan Meehan. I'm a director here at Schellman, and I'm one of our healthcare practice leaders. Let's dive into who needs to be compliant with HIPAA and what the differences are between being a covered entity and a business associate. So when we think about being a covered entity, I think our minds innately go to thinking about hospital systems, right? And I think a lot of people think that if they are actually holding or processing that health information, they're actually a covered entity, when covered entity has a very specific definition. It's actually restricted to providers, insurers, and healthcare clearinghouses. And so if you don't fall into one of those three buckets, there's a very high likelihood that you are actually a business associate, which is somebody that is processing, maintaining, or storing that data on behalf of a covered entity. And so a topic that comes up a lot is, well, I don't even have access to the data. Well, the OCR, the Office for Civil Rights, who oversees HIPAA, they've said that even if you don't have the encryption keys to get to that data, you are still on the hook as a business associate and you need to comply with the HIPAA standards and safeguards. And so when it comes to thinking about that conversation of, well, what if we are neither, right? The question goes back to the covered entity that you're working with. The covered entity has a requirement that anyone they are doing business with, if they are providing them data, they need to make sure that a business associate agreement is signed. And if the business associate agreement is not something that you've entered into signing with the covered entity, that also doesn't get you off the hook of whether or not you need to be responsible for that data. Even if one is not signed, if you have that information, the OCR has deemed that you are still responsible for safeguarding that information appropriately. So when it comes to thinking about, do I fall into one or the other buckets, or am I not even a business associate? It is more often the case that you are in fact a business associate. If you have further questions about whether or not you fall into one bucket or another, or you're trying to figure out how to move into that healthcare vertical and what it means for your organization, I encourage you to reach out to us, fill out our questionnaire, and we'd love to have a conversation with you about it.